Hello, Kimberly here. Today we're going to walk through the steps of assembling this gift bag pop-up note card, and it's one of my favorite paper projects, and I hope that you will enjoy making it as much as I do. And the extra joy is in the giving of this card, either with a gift card tucked inside or cash or even just a little love note. It's just a thing of beauty, I think. So let's just get right to it. First things, here is the overview of the dimensions and the materials that you will need to create this card, and then I will show you samples so you have a better idea of what you're looking at. This piece of paper is 3 by 11, and you can use decorative paper. I prefer paper that is more copy paper weight. There are some beautiful scrapbook papers that are in the lighter range. Not a lot of heft. I have made the little gift cards or the little gift bags with scrapbook paper that has some weight to it. This isn't quite 65-pound cover. This is probably more an index weight. And it does work. Depending on the paper, when you score it, you might get those little bird fiber paper breakdown edges. I don't really care for that as much, which is why I like to stick with this lighter weight paper. Also, the card won't be quite as heavy when if you're trying to mail it. Okay, so you can use that. I would just play and experiment, but my preference is this lighter weight paper, and I'm going to be making one demonstrating for you with a sulfite paper, which is also more like a copy machine weight. So, but if you wanted to take a screenshot of this or a photo with your phone, then go for it. I will also include these few instructions or materials list in the video underneath the YouTube video itself. Okay. All right. Now what I'd like to show you are just a few of the note cards. So these are all blank on the front, which I usually I create a card with something on the front. But if you even wanted to just cut a very decorative piece of scrapbook paper, similar to maybe the paper that you are going to be using on the inside to create your little gift bag, you could just cut a little square and include it, glue it onto the front and have that be the front of your card, or letter something on here. Or if you're a card maker, then I don't need to tell you how to do your cards because you already probably have a million ideas. But this is what your gift bag pop-up card is going to look like when you open it. Ta-da! Isn't that just the cutest little thing? These are paste papers that I created in a class that was taught by Teresa Wilbur, and they are the perfect weight. I think I also used these are a little heavier than a copy machine weight. And of course the paint adds some heft to the paper, but this also worked very well. And I just used some red grosgrain ribbon. This card is a little larger than an A2. It gives you a little more room for your handles to pop up. But if you're using a A2 card, you can just make your handles a little bit shorter and you don't have to worry about them sticking out. You just don't want anything sticking beyond your card so that when you put it in an envelope, it doesn't impede. So there's the pink one. And here is the blue one with additional paste papers. These just turned out to be the perfect papers to make these little gift card pop-ups. I keep saying gift card. Gift bag for your gift cards. It's a mouthful. All right. I love that too. And then this one is made with a scrapbook paper, but not very thick. Paper is not very heavy. And so it folds and scores very nicely. And then I had this really pretty fun ribbon. I have a lot of ribbon. I think a lot of paper crafters do, and so it's fun when you open your drawer and you actually get to use some of that ribbon for this project. And then here's the other thing about this card. So I tend to make this card and have it open vertically this way, and then I write my sentiment in here. You can write on either side, obviously. But the other thing is, just remember that if you want to, you can have your note card design going horizontally this way, and then opening it this way. Doesn't matter. Either way. So just whichever way you would like to orient your card. Okay? All right, so here are the pieces that you are going to want to have before you get started folding your card. When you're following the directions on that PDF that I showed, this is going to be, I picked up this little ephemera that I made, and this will be glued and made onto the front of my card. This is an A2 size, and this is a beautiful gray, charcoal gray cardstock with a linen finish. And I really like it a lot. It's linen on both sides. And then you're going to want your decorative paper cut to 11 inches by 3 inches. You're going to be scoring it at 1/2 and 1 inch, 5, 5.5, and 6, and then 10 and 10.5. And then folding. These are the gussets on the sides of your bags, so they're going to look like that. And we'll look at this even closer. And then you want the gusset on the end. These are going to tuck into each other like this, and glued so that you have a gusset on each side of your bag. That's what gives it its width and depth. And then you're going to have a 1/2 inch score line along the bottom, all along the bottom of the 11 inches. And then you're going to cut out the bottom 1 inch by 1/2 inch corner here and here, and then in the middle too, because these are going to get glued to your card and make them, this is what creates your pop-up. All right, we'll get into more detail about that. But I also loved this paper, and I found silver, gray ribbon, and you're going to want 2 pieces that are approximately 4 inches long. If they're a little shyer than that or a little longer, you can always adjust that when you glue it to your template, to your gift bag paper. The only thing is that you want them both to be the same size, so you don't have handles that are disproportionate to each other. And then I had some really fun silver paper, tissue paper for the center. So the thing about the paper, I think I put 8 by 8 on that PDF. However, there's a lot of wiggle room. You don't need to have it 8 by 8. You just, maybe even 6 by 6 is enough to tuck in there. You don't want too much bulk in that little bag. You really just want enough to give it the illusion of having that tissue that pops out of larger gift bags when we receive them from people. So basically, we just need something that is going to have a little bit of, crunchability, and stick that in the bag. And so 8 by 8 is just an arbitrary number I picked. It could be bigger, it can be smaller, and you can even pull it out and trim some if you think it's too much. When you go to close your card, you don't want too much bulk. So I'm going to leave that up to you and your discretion, okay? So that's what you want to have together before we start to assemble, okay? So let's move on and actually work on the card that I'm going to demonstrate for you. I'm going to put this one away. I made several kits with these colors, and I really liked them, the monochromatic. All right, let's clear the decks here a little bit. So here is what I have for today's assembly. First of all, I picked a card, just something very simple that I created a couple months back. I really liked this. I came up with this saying, and I thought at the time it really fit my mood. And this is an A2 size. I do not have an envelope, but you know what? Let me borrow an envelope. You could use a pink envelope if you had one, but let's just say this envelope goes with it because it'll go well, okay? So that's my card. I won't be gluing until the last minute on the card. Here is my template. So what I did was I painted these roses on an original piece of watercolor paper. I just played and had a good time. These paint quickly enough for me that I could do each one of these as an original, but I went ahead and scanned it into my computer, and then I put it into a program that I could print this out, and that's what I did. And it doesn't reach the full 11-inch length, but that's okay because there's gussets on the ends of these bags. And so this dead space, this white dead space, will be a part of the gusset, and that won't be any problem at all. So what I did was I went ahead and printed it out, and I went ahead and scored. I'm going to tip this so that hopefully you can see these scores. I went ahead and scored at 1/2. So if you put your 11 inches to the top of your scoring pad, I did a 1/2 and 1 inch. This is 5 inches, 5.5 and 6 inches. And then on the end, it's 10 and 10.5 inches. And then, as I said before, there's going to be a 1/2 inch all the way at the bottom. And these little squares, I'm going to cut them out so that you can see how I do that. Very simple, because you have scoring lines that are really there, and you just follow those little scored lines and you'll be able to cut them out easily. And here is the photo of the drawing of your bag. Just now that you've actually seen this template, I'm hoping this right here will make more sense to you. So here are the scored areas. I've got them well marked. They're also written out down here so that you can, oh, I didn't do that. No, that's okay. Don't need to do that. I just put 3 by 11, and then these numbers right here are where the score lines are. You know what I might do? I might add a line down here for future that talks about where I want these scored with the actual numbers. I might do that. So do as I do, not as I say, or do as I say, not as I do. But I think this is very clear. I'm just going to add another line to reinforce it. Okay. So I'm going to grab some scissors here, and I should say the only thing you really need besides your already chosen template that's already cut out to 3 by 11, and then your scored lines. You really just need a pair of scissors, and you're going to need some glue. This is PVA glue in a little bottle that has a needle applicator, and I love this applicator. As I've mentioned in my other videos, people are probably tired of hearing it. This was a game changer for me when it came to gluing projects. Now I happily glue. I don't find it tedious or hard or anything. I just love it. And I also, to make it easier during the project, I have a little cup here, very fancy cup from the top of a detergent bottle with a piece of paper towel inside that is dampened, not saturated, but just dampened with some water, so that every time I finish gluing, I don't recap, I just put it upside down in my little cup. And if you don't have a ready handy detergent bottle lid, you can just use one of these plastic party cups if you have some of those, or something that is not too tall, but that when you put your bottle in, you can readily grab the bottle. You don't want something so tall that you have to stick your hands down inside. Just something so it makes it easy to grab. Okay? So that is what we have there. So that's all we're going to need. Again, this is part of your supplies that needs to be already at the ready. And I'm just going to cut 2 4-inch strips. and or as long as they're the same, that's really what matters. So if you cut one, just make sure the second one is the same length as the first one, or cut one long strip and then, you know, fold it over your knife blade, scissors blade, and cut it. So there's my handles. Here is my tissue paper that's matchy with my template paper. And I'm just going to set this to the side as well. We won't need that until the very end. Okay, back to our template. We've got it all scored. Everything's printed. It's the right size. So all we're going to do is come in here on these lines in the bottom 1 inch wide, 1/2 inch little squares. So there's that one. This one, same thing. I'm just clipping right to that 1/2 inch line. And typically I just fold that down or up, or one of these down, so that I can get to the line. And I just want to cut it right inside that scoring groove. If you're a tiny bit off, it'll be okay. These edges, the corner ones, are easy peasy. All right, now we have our template completely ready. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and fold. So this one on the end, it's a gusset. So just imagine when you fold in it that you have this valley fold that's going to go sit inside your bag, and this and the same with this one over here, right? It's a valley. These are going to fit inside each other, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So I'm going to fold party sides together. That means print down the middle. Let's fold the middle one first and fold it in on itself like that. And then come back here, fold this one backwards and flip it over and fold that one backwards. I know I'm going a little bit quickly, but basically what I want you to see is when you fold it, you end up with a valley fold here, right? And it's the valley fold is sitting inside the bag. And on this side, you have two valleys, right? So let's look at these. This one is blank because I ran out of artwork at the edge of that. And this one has got this nice print on it. So I want the print to go on the outside. So all I'm doing is taking this fold and setting it neatly into that fold. See how that goes? And I will glue that, not yet, but in a minute. I just want you to see how this all fits together. And that's all the folding you need to make your bag. Aside from where we're going to make it pop up, don't worry about that yet. This is just super simple structure. But I think if you have this to look at when you're folding your paper, as long as you get it to look like this with the valley folds and gussets pointed in, you're golden. Okay? We'll glue that in a minute. All right. I'm going to open it back up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these, and I want them folded into the bag. And I probably could have scored that a little harder, but we're going to fold that into the bag along the score line. There we go. Like that. And now I'm going to pull them back out again. All right, so this is what you should have. Outside, party side, and wrong side of the paper. Now we're going to make a couple of little tick marks. Oh, I probably should have said you need a little pencil and a ruler. And on your PDF, these little tick marks are where you're going to glue your ribbons, and I'll show you how we're going to glue the ribbons, but for right now we just want to make little tick marks. So they're at 2.5 inches. So if you start on this side, the first tick mark is at 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to do this, and then an inch apart, so 3.5 inches. This ruler is not long enough. I don't have my regular ruler at the table. And then, so 2.5 and 3.5. And then across onto the other side is 7.5 and 8.5. Okay? Those are just some little guide marks so that your handles are at least orienting in the same position on the bag, and they look like a gift bag. All right. I need my glue, and I need my little handles. Okay, so this is how I do this. I'm being aware that this bag is going to pop up out of an A2 note card size. So I've made a few of these, and I don't want the handles to be too high, or they will be outside of the note card. So I lay these down, and I want to show you close up. Here's my tick mark. I tend to glue the handle on the outside, lined up right on the outside of the tick mark. And I fold this in like that, and I just sort of take a gander. And my handle is about an inch high. If you lay that down flat, it's about an inch from the edge of the paper. I don't want it much bigger than that. You can spread them out larger if you like that look. I was just trying to make it easy. So we've got about this high, and I'm doing the handles down about 1/2 inch. So let me show you. I am going to put a little bead of glue on the outside of that line, and I'm just going to eyeball it about a little shy of 1/2 inch going down. And I'm going to go ahead and fold your ribbon so it lays right. There's a couple, you just don't want it, this is obviously twisted, but I'm trying to make a point about eyeballing your ribbon. You would not like this look on the bag. So just make sure that you have your handles so that they lay like how you want them to orient, okay? So I'm going to do this one like that, lay it right on the glue, and then I'm going to flip my handle around like that and lay it down like that. After I have that glued, I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape. This is the only time I use tape in any project. Most of my projects that I've been doing lately are all just glued, but I'm going to take a little piece of tape. This will be hidden, and I'm going to put it across that ribbon. Just make it long enough, the piece of tape, so that you have some grippy tape on either side of those handles, okay? You can hardly see it at all. And once the gift tissue paper is inside the bag, you won't even notice those. And of course, the little lines are almost completely blocked with the ribbon. So let's do the other side. Outside of that little tick mark, about 1/2 inch, not quite, maybe more like 3/8 of an inch. Also, I want to show you something. Once this is adhered, if you don't like the orientation of that handle, oops, I just laid my hand in the glue. I'll show you something after we do this. Let's go ahead. I will finish what I started. I'm going to show you how you're able to flip the orientation, though, of this handle if you need it changed. So I'm going to lay that down there, about a 1/2 inch and about a 1/2 inch. And I can kind of tell I need to pull this. The thing is, see, is you have the ability to lengthen or shorten the handle just by pulling on it with the glue still wet. Okay, I'm going to get my tape and cover that over. Plus, it'll also, if you put the tape on right away, it'll keep that glue from seeping through that ribbon and getting on your fingers when you're doing the rest of this. Okay, so now we have our handles on. The only thing I was going to mention, see, the orientation of these handles, when you close them, they're exactly the same. But if you wanted it to have a different look, the cool thing is you can move these. You can take this top and you can flip it around and orient it the other way. It's however you want. I'm trying to think. I think I like this to be like that. Then they're identical. They're opposite and symmetrical that way. So we're going to keep it that way. All right. So now we have our handles on. That is the first thing. Once you have your template cut out and everything's ready, you do the handles first, because now we're going to close the bag. And I have made this before after I glued my edges and tried to put the handles in afterwards. This is just so much easier. All right. Now we're going to go back and we're going to do that thing where I said the gussets have the valley fold. We just want that valley fold to resemble this side, right? And in order to do that, we need to put these on top of each other, sort of like a nesting Russian doll, where they sit inside each other and fit. So I want to cover up this plain white and use the colored roses on the gusset and fit it in just like that. And after I do a ghosting dry run and take a look at it and make sure that fits, then I can undo it, and I'm going to be gluing, not a lot, but just right in here. And I'm going to rest this piece so it sits right inside that gusset. I can see a little area on this paper that's starting to tear, and we're going to do something about that. Oh, I should have done it. See, this is where I did the scoring. This is the sulfite paper, so I might not be doing sulfite paper anymore for these. This is the first time I've used sulfite paper for this. And to be honest, I've never had a problem with the with copy paper doing this. So I'm getting a little tear here, and I don't like that because I want this gift bag. So I should have fixed that before I glued the bag shut. I should have inspected it for areas that might be a little delicate, and I could have taped it on the inside. So I'm going to try that now, but I'm kind of sorry that I'm doing it after I already see that tear right there. I tell you what I'm going to do for right now. This isn't my favorite thing. I'm going to just tape it. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to tape it on the outside. That, as an artist, that would not be my favorite thing. It's fairly clear tape, so thankfully it doesn't show, but it does a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. I'm kind of glad this happened, just in case you're using a paper that also does this. So I'm just very gently trying to shore up that tear area. Okay, I think that's better. These other sides are not tearing. Well, that one is. Oh, yep, let's do it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and shore that up like that. All right. Well, hopefully that will not be a problem going forward. Now we have our bag made, and I'm going to press down here so that it opens up just like a little bag does. Yay! I love it. And you know, I'm looking at something else, but my roses are oriented upside down. So I actually scored this paper the wrong way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So again, cautionary tale and being aware of the orientation of your paper. I was not paying attention. So here is, this one is too short. I had to reprint this, but this is that sulfite paper, and I printed out my original artwork onto this paper. And this is the orientation that I would want, up, top, and bottom. What I did was inadvertently, when I scored the paper and I had it cut out, I scored it this way with this at the bottom. Well, these roses are obviously upside down. This is the original. And that is the artwork, top side, correct orientation. And that is upside down. So our gift bag is, art is upside down. I do not think it will be noticed. I only notice it because I'm the one who created the paper to start with. All right, so now we have ready to put it into our note card. And this is a super nifty way to do it. I loved this. This was so easy. Okay, so we have our card, top, bottom, open up. So what we're going to do with our gift bag is we're going to flatten these two flaps that are on the bottom, open them up. We needed to fold them good on to the inside of the bag first, just so that those papers will gently do that on their own. So they're already folded to the inside, right? But now I want to open them up, and we're going to flatten the bag like this. Make sure that it flattens, right? Because the first thing we're going to do is glue. This is the front of the bag. This is the back. We are going to glue this flap and affix it centered eyeball to the card. I'm centering top and bottom, and then you want it right to the right of the score line. Okay, so here, let's do that. And I'm just going to do a little little squiggle glue. Not too much, just enough from top to bottom. And now I'm going to eyeball it. I'm going to look at it first. There we go. And I'm just to the right. Let's see if I can. I am just to the right of this score line and my flap, and I'm just going to press gently there, like that, right? And now I'm going to do the same thing on this little 1/2 inch flap, and I'm going to squiggle some glue. Not too much. And I'm going to hold this down flat. This is where the magic happens. And I'm going to very gently, I've got everything lined up, I'm going to very gently close the card and flatten it and hold my hand down where I've got that glue panel right there. That flap I know is underneath there, right? And I'm just going to do that. If you have your bone folder and you want to mesh it like that, just on the flap, where you know the flap is underneath in that card, we're just giving the glue a little bit of time to set up. It doesn't need to be completely dry for you to open your card. I wouldn't do any calisthenics with it. Okay, are we ready? Very gently, just open your card, and there you have your bag. I should not be as delighted as I am with this particular little pop-up card, but it never fails to make me happy. All right, and the last step before you actually use the card is to get a little piece of tissue paper. I kind of like to do a little diagonal. I think it just makes it, you know, and I kind of scrunch it like that. And I already know this is going to be a little bit too tall for the bag, so let me just go in and manipulate that paper and open the bag very gently because the glue hasn't completely dried, and put that in there like that. And there you have your gift bag. I just like it. So then, of course, it's going to fit into this card, and when you shut your card, so you can tell where this is sticking out, and you can just sort of push it back in. And then very gently put some weight on it. You could even put a couple of books on that, and it will pretty much flatten out all that paper. If you mailed that, I think it's not 1/4 of an inch thick. I'm pretty sure that that would go through the mail without any problem on their machines, but I could be wrong. The mail is not what it used to be, and I'm not going to say anything more. I still want to just practice gratitude for the post office. Yes, that's all I'm going to say. All right. There we go. And then obviously you can pull this out and tuck your card in. If you don't have tissue paper, you can still tuck cash or a note card in there, but I think tissue paper just makes it what it is. Okay, you guys, look at that. All right, if you have any questions or need to reach out to me if there's a problem with your card, I would love to hear from you, and hopefully I'll be able to walk you through anything that might be a challenge. But other than that, I really think with this step-by-step instructions that they are very easy to make, and especially after you've made a few of them. All right, have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.